be pushed and challenged, and you to join us in the discussion. What do you make of this is an interesting one to me. Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris both want to end taxes on tips. I'm not a huge fan of this idea. Cash tips are a thing of yesteryear. The tips are going through, in many cases, the restaurant ownership or ownership group, and then are allocated, in many cases, in paychecks.
Or misallocated.
Weekly or every 2 weeks, or misallocated, yeah. This, in a lot of ways, is a way to sidestep.
You're saying a restaurant could collect all of the electronic tips, not be giving them to the servers and wait staff and cooks and whatever else, and then just pocket the money knowing that it's tax-free.
Tax-free.
Yeah.
Tax-free. That's exactly my point. And you know why they want to end taxes on tips, right?
Because they want to get elected.
Because they want a voter base that generally does not vote.
Yeah.
A younger voter base, service workers, to vote for them.
Yeah.
For example, Nevada is a key battleground state. The hospitality sector accounts for 25% of Nevada's workforce.
Yeah.
And Nevada is key to this election. We'll talk about this today. I want to talk about it, how it applies to Charlottesville. Which headline is most intriguing to you?
I think I'm curious about when and if our local schools will do away with allowing phones in classes. And I'm curious if some of their new security measures are involving students actively using their phones in class, which is odd to me.
We'll talk about it. Well, you wanted to tie it to the bathroom pass. We'll talk about that today. Give it a like and a share, guys. We'll get rocking and rolling. How about the headlines on the University of Virginia pay? Cavalier Daily, excellent reporting on this, which we're going to cover on today's show. Excellent reporting from the student newspaper, the Cavalier Daily, a newspaper I've been reading now for 20 years. I looked forward as a student on grounds at the University of Virginia to pick up the Cavalier Daily in between classes, while walking around grounds, while sitting at 2 in the afternoon drinking $3 natural light pitchers at Coupe de Ville's. Skipping class. I swear I didn't do that, Mom and Dad. John Blair, I want to talk about this. Exactly what you said. I was going to bring that up, John. Excellent comment. Judah, we can rock and roll when you're ready. I'm going to ask you the compelling headline once the show starts. Viewers and listeners, I think today's show is going to be a good one.
Quiet on the set.
Good Thursday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love Seville show. Today's program is loaded with content we find compelling. We will talk University of Virginia salaries. The top 10 paid employees earned hefty year-over-year raises. We'll put those raises in perspective today. How about this statistic? UVA pays 12,024 employees. There's 12,024 men and women on UVA's payroll. Of those 12,024 people, $1.125 billion is paid to them in wages. I mean, that's just a startling statistic right there. I'm going to see if I can offer that very clearly in clear fashion here. UVA pays $1.125 billion to 12,024 employees each year.
Man.
UVA, the UVA impact on the Charlottesville economy, the Central Virginia economy, the Albemarle County economy is that in a nutshell. If you want to understand the impact of Thomas Jefferson University on Central Virginia, you tell people this at a cocktail party. The University of Virginia pays $1.125 billion to 12,024 people each year. We'll also talk on today's program, the average employee salary for UVA is over $101,000. We'll ask the question why city public schools and Albemarle County public schools have not banned cell phones yet. Judah Wickhauer may have figured out why cell phones have not been banned at Charlottesville public schools. We're going to link cell phones with yesterday's story. On yesterday's program, we highlighted the enhanced security measures at Charlottesville High School. Some of those enhanced security measures included doors now needing to be key fobbed for entry and exit. Other security measures include digital hall passes. They called them what, Judah? E-hall passes?
They've actually got a program for it, and I think it's an app, so it sounds like it's going to be on kids' phones.
So we're going to ask the question, are the digital hall passes that track students and their ability to roam or not roam hallways at Charlottesville High School? Remember, this was a major problem last fall when what was reported as 3 or 4 dozen students were running the hallways unchecked, causing mayhem at the largest public school in the city. In fact, the city this coming year has its largest student body enrollment in school history. Charlottesville High School, the largest student body enrollment in Charlottesville High School history. The enhanced security measures include digital hall passes where administrators and teachers are going to be able to digitally track students on potty breaks, bathroom breaks, when they leave the classroom. We asked the question, why hasn't Charlottesville Public Schools banned cell phones yet, like so many other school systems across the Commonwealth are doing? Perhaps this is an answer. We'll talk about that on today's program. I also want to highlight the airport, the value of the airport, and funding for the airport. Judah, you have that story ready. We're going to ask the question, or put into perspective, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It clearly is a presidential brouhaha that will have significant impacts on our country. Trump and Harris running neck and neck, depending on which poll you follow. And both Trump and Harris are trying to drum up a voter base that generally does not vote. Call it the 20-somethings. Call it frontliner service workers, whatever you want to call it. To drum up that vote, Trump and Harris are championing or campaigning on no taxes on tips if you work in the service industry. I'm going to pick this apart like Thanksgiving turkey today, and I want to talk Wally Amos of famous Amos Cookies, a gentleman that is now dunking chocolate chip cookies into his ice cold skim milk. Cue Judah to give me a hard time on the skim milk reference. While in heaven, he has passed away.
I thought you were going to say he went to hell.
Skim milk is not hell. I drank before I got here today. I've already had 2 tall glasses of skim milk. Breakfast this morning consisted of a jelly-filled Krispy Kreme donut, a chocolate-glazed Krispy Kreme donut,
I'm glad you're being healthy with the milk.
A chicken salad sandwich, and 2 glasses of delicious skim milk. The donut crumbles floated to the bottom. I took a big gulp to get the bottom third of the milk and had some squishy Krispy Kreme donuts at the bottom. It was fantastic. Where do you want to begin? Which headline's most compelling to you? Ginny Hu, thank you for the retweet. Deep Throat, I can't wait to get to your comments. John Blair, I can't wait to get to your comments. Logan Wells Claylow, thank you for watching the program. Multiple media outlets on the show as we speak. Judah Wickhauer, which is most compelling to you?
I'm curious about these apps. They're just calling them apps in the article that I'm reading. And it leads me to think that they're like actively encouraging students to have phones on them and turned on.
To track them.
Yeah, and
not to secure Tinder dates or Bumble dates. not to swipe left and right, and not to hook up in the coat closet between geometry and history classes. But they want the phones on, potentially to track them. I've been asking the question all summer long, why haven't Charlottesville Public Schools and Albemarle County Public Schools followed suit of other schools in the Commonwealth? Youngkin banned cell phones. Didn't Youngkin ban cell phones in public schools? We talked about this summer, right?
I don't think he could ban them outright. He may have
No, I
started
think
the
he did.
process.
Let's do a quick Google search. God, Google's a wonderful thing. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin on the 10th of July issued an executive order that will limit or ban cell phones in schools. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin issued a new executive order July 10th that will limit or ban cell phone use in public schools, the latest in a string of efforts by officials to crack down on what many see as a classroom distraction and a threat to students' mental health. The order by Youngkin, a Republican, directs the Virginia Department of Education to establish guidelines for a cell phone-free education, the governor's office said in a news release. The new policies are to be implemented by the 1st of January. So this fall semester, they're not implemented. That's an important deadline. Implemented by January 1, 2025, with a draft of guidelines expected, oh my God, today, the 15th of August, and a final guidance issued in September. Hot damn, the I Love Seville show is on top of it. Thank God for Google. I had no idea of that date. If it was not for a live Google, thanks to Judah Wickhauer's encouragement today. So there's something to follow.
Yeah.
January 1, 2025, Judah, let's remember these dates. They'll come up on future shows, is when the ban should go into place with the Virginia Department of Education as the police officers enforcing this ban. Guidelines expected by today, final guidelines issued in September for schools to adjust.
How are police going to enforce the ban?
Virginia Department of Education. It was kind of a little hyperbole right there. How the hell is the Department of Education going to enforce banning cell phones in public schools? I made the argument when this news broke that it's going to fall on teachers again, and we're now going to have underpaid, underappreciated, incredibly valuable teachers stretched even thinner, having to police cell phone use.
Yeah.
Charlottesville High School may be encouraging students to have their phones on and on their person active so they can track them with what Judah has found is... What'd you find with the phones? This is a perfect segue for you to Judah jump in. Grab the segue and hit the grand slam. I'm giving you a softball to look genius over here.
CHS, Charlottesville High School, is using a virtual hall pass program called Securely, which is apparently an app. And then Albemarle County Schools have a new app for students called Help Me, an app that students can use to report anything they see that feels unsafe without necessarily having to give names or identifying information. I don't know how you would use the second one without a phone. The first one, I suppose, could be something that they passed out to students, but...
Make it make sense. We know cell phones at schools are a distraction. Make it make sense. We know cell phones at schools can have mental health issues, or cause mental health issues with kids. Keep them from learning. Make it make sense. The governor wants to ban cell phones in public schools on the 1st of January. Make it make sense. Charlottesville High School encouraging students to have cell phones on and active so staff can track them through their digital hallway pass infrastructure system. Make it make sense. We'll talk about that today. Before we talk about that today, put me on a one shot and then get the lower third ready for the UVA story. We're going to rotate those 3 lower thirds when we go on a 2-shot. You have some compelling insight ready to go. I can see it already. I'm very excited for that. The University of Virginia, ladies and gentlemen, and we give some thanks to Pro Renata for being a partner of this program. If you got any photos you could put on screen for Pro Renata, that would be great. They're expanding left, right, downtown Stanton, in the Shenandoah Valley, the old Skipping Rock location. Pro Renata has taken their Crozet location, turning it into a sports bar where it's going to be an epicenter of college football and the National Football League. They got cocktails. They got a new brewmaster. John Shabe and Pro Renata are on absolute fire. They add Joe Reed as a partner in the ownership group, the former UVA football star and NFL football player. I mean, good night, John Shabe. You're moving mountains, dude. What were you going to say right there, Wickhauer?
And they allow dogs.
They allow dogs. Oh my gosh.
Inside and out.
How about that picture on the I Love Seville Instagram? Was it a hound dog with the droopy eyes?
I had it up.
That hound dog with the droopy eyes. Can you put that hound dog back on screen?
There he is.
I just want this hound dog to come up to me. I'll give him a hug. He can lick my face and slobber all over it. Tell me that hound dog does not look adorable with the Pro Renata beer right next to him. I mean, he's like, just give me some beer.
I think his parents would not be happy with me around because I would be petting that dog for hours.
No, I think this is what happened. And Liza, we know if you've watched the program, has crossed the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah.
The best dog ever, and this is coming from a man who had 3 dogs, 2 that have passed the Rainbow Bridge, crossed the Rainbow Bridge. Leo, the German Shepherd, my best dog ever. Lucy, the German Shepherd, Chow Chow, she was 17 and she was a mean, can I say bitch? I mean, she was a female dog. That's not, is it against the rules to say?
I think it's appropriate in this case.
She was a mean bitch. I loved her. So one person dog, only loved me, hated everybody else. Leo was amazing. Did I ever tell you the story about the copperhead snake?
I don't think so.
The girl I was dating at the time, we had 3 dogs.
I do remember this,
Max,
yeah.
the German Shepherd, who's still alive today, he's 10. Leo, the German Shepherd, who's crossed the Rainbow Bridge. And Lucy, the mean bitch. It was a wolf pack. We were living in Redfields, down 5th Street Extended. We lived on the back of Rockledge, end of Rockledge, house on a hill. Our house backed up to the protected area that Redfields has. Redfields a wonderful neighborhood with this acreage. I mean, significant acreage in Redfields that's never going to be developed. I think the Homeowners Association purchased this land from the developer in Redfields, and they carved this acreage into trails. Wonderful hiking trails. I purchased this house in large part because it backed up to this protected area, and we had solitude and quiet. So I'm on the 2nd floor of the house. The wolf pack is up there with me. I hear a scream from my girlfriend at the time, who's in the garage. It's a detached garage, not connected to the house. A scream that was so loud, it would be an indication that someone was stabbed to death, like literally murdered on property. The 3 dogs immediately spring into action with Leo, the 125-pound, all-black German Shepherd, except for his brown socks. He had brown paws. You remember him, Judah. He leads the wolf pack down the stairs from the 2nd floor, master bedroom, down the stairs, into the hallway, through the kitchen, out the side door, jumps the deck fence. Max follows by jumping the deck fence as well. Lucy, the mean bitch, was so old she couldn't jump the deck fence.
I don't think she could have jumped that in her prime.
Max and Leo, brothers, same mom and dad, different litters, were immediately trying to protect my girlfriend at the time, who screamed so loudly, multiple neighbors left their house to see what was going on. She's in the detached garage. She had stepped on a 5-foot copperhead, barefoot. She lifted her foot after stepping on the 5-foot copperhead barefoot in the garage, and the snake was still clinging to the bottom of her foot.
Oh.
That's when she screamed.
Man.
Leo sprung into action. Within 5 seconds of the scream, he had gone from the 2nd floor, down the stairs, jumped over a deck fence in the garage, and had bitten the copperhead in half.
Wow.
Killed the copperhead. Copperhead did not die right away. Half the body of the copperhead, the bottom half was on the ground. The half with the head was still alive. Bit Leo in the snout. He turned into the Elephant Man. Then the other half of the copperhead with the head bit Max in the butt. He was screaming for his life. The 3rd bite had no venom. The 2nd bite did serious damage to Leo. The 1st bite sent my girlfriend at the time into the hospital, where she spent 3 days on a hospital bed, $19,000 in copperhead anti-venom,
Oof.
a $1,000 vet bill at the emergency vet overnight for the 2 dogs.
Wow.
Long story short, here's the lesson you learn. Be very careful, ladies and gentlemen, about leaving your garage doors open in the summertime. Be very, very careful. Leo, that dog, an absolutely amazing dog. Best dog I ever had. Still, the moral of the story, my wolf pack pales in comparison to Judah's dog Eliza, who last month crossed the Rainbow Bridge, best dog I ever seen, rescue from caring for creatures in Flavanna. That dog was the best.
She was a sweetheart.
If you had seen that hound at Pro Renata, you probably would have kidnapped the hound. There's a special place in Judah's life, ladies, for a special lady and for a special dog. He's single and ready to mingle. All right. Can we get to the headlines? You got me distracted today on a glorious and gorgeous Thursday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville, Virginia. Put the first lower third on here. What is the first lower third? Keep me on track, J-Dubs, please, dear God.
I put you on a one shot.
No, you're in a good mood today. And you and I are vibing right now. The chemistry is good right here. It wasn't salty like it was yesterday because I was frustrated and angry that the show started 10 minutes late, which wasn't your fault. So it was kind of unfair for me to be frustrated and angry with you. But in hindsight, I realized that in the moment, I am a passionate and emotional person.
This is true.
This is true. What's the first headline? Can you give us the headline, please?
UVA's top paid employees get hefty increases.
This is significant, all right? This is from the Cavalier Daily. Fantastic reporting from the Cavalier Daily. Grace Thrush. This article released 2 days ago. The university's top 10 highest paid employees earn $8,275,449 in base salary for 2024. That's according to data the Cavalier Daily obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request. This figure marks a $1 million increase compared to the salaries of UVA's top 10 earners in 2023. And it represents 0.7%, almost a full point, the top 10 earners of the $1,125,000,000 paid to 12,024 university faculty, staff member, and UVA health employees listed in the data obtained by the Cavalier Daily. This shows you the significance of the University of Virginia and Central Virginia. Every time we want to complain and moan about UVA, I want you to remember this statistic. There's 12,024 direct employees on the payroll. Deep Throat's pointing out that doesn't even include the indirect subcontractors that are working at UVA. All those construction companies, I'll stay on track here. 12,024 direct employees. Those 12,024 direct employees earn $1,125,000,000 in compensation from UVA, which they then use in the Central Virginia region for mortgages, for rent, for food, for spending, for entertainment, for living. You take $1,125,000,000 in compensation out of this economy, and you're looking at a community that is what? Danville? Not throwing shade on you, Travis Hackworth and Danville. Danville does have a Caesars. The Caesars is big time. Yep. It's revitalizing Dan Vegas. But you take this university away, and you have a ghost town here, folks. You don't have the second highest cost of living region in the Commonwealth. You certainly don't have a family household income of $124,200. This is a perfect segue for the average salary. The HUD household income, $124,200 in 2023. Give us the UVA average salary.
Average salary in 2024 was $101,656.
People say
41.7% higher than the national average for government employees and 36% higher than other universities and colleges.
Bill McChesney, welcome to the program. Judah, you're on point today. Flying chest bumps?
Okay.
Studio camera, flying chest bump.
Hold on.
Point today. I love when you're like this. Can we flying chest bump, please? Flying chest bump?
All right. Grief. You're going to knock the camera out one of these days.
Love the flying chest bump. Lord, this is a great comment from Deep Throat. His photo on screen, number 1 in the family. You ready for this? The entire metro area of Charlottesville has 10,000 jobs. Seville City, let me rephrase. The entire metro area of Charlottesville has 101,000 jobs. Seville City, 37,000 jobs. Albemarle County, 60,000 jobs. So more than 10% of all the jobs in the metro area are directly tied to University of Virginia jobs. That does not even include, Deep Throat says, contractors. Dining, for instance, are mostly subcontractors, nor indirect jobs. That's bananas.
Yeah.
That does not include contractors,
Right.
like the construction,
And he's not just talking about construction. I think he mentioned food.
dining,
So yeah, any
Airmark, managing the cafeterias, the dining halls,
Right.
subcontractors.
yeah.
And it doesn't include the auxiliary businesses that have launched. You think I say that word funny, don't you, right there? Is that why the smirk?
Yeah.
It doesn't include the additional businesses that have launched that are associated with the UVA ecosystem.
Yeah.
Paul Manning Biotech School coming to market soon. UVA says on the record, thousands of new jobs for the area just because of this $100 million Paul Manning donation, Fontaine Avenue epicenter for biotech.
Yeah.
Jaffrey Woodruff's Data Science School. Drive by it every single day. That building, Jaffrey, is gorgeous. Site of the old Cavalier Inn Hotel. My parents, when they visited my brother and I, Jeffrey often getting 4.0 GPAs, me often drinking $3 Natty Light pitchers at the Biltmore at 2 in the afternoon. When they visited us, they stayed at the Cavalier Inn on the corner of, what is that, Emmett and Caddy corner from the tennis center.
Is that?
That used to be a great hotel. That data science building is amazing. And I love to throw this tidbit out there for friend of the program. Jaffrey Woodruff, the most donation in University of Virginia history, and you can make a legitimate argument, has done more for the University of Virginia than anyone in UVA history save Thomas Jefferson. I could make that compelling case. This blows me away. I mean, this absolutely blows me. Fantastic reporting from the Cavalier Daily. A couple of other tidbits that stood out to me here. This is great. Who do you think is the top earner at the University of Virginia, viewers and listeners? Bill McChesney.
I'm not going to say it, but I thought that was wild.
Bill McChesney. Who's the top earner at the University of Virginia? Logan Wells Claylow. Who's the top earner at the University of Virginia? John Blair. Who do you think the top earner at the University of Virginia is? Juan Sarmiento. Lisa Costello. Lisa Costello and Juan Sarmiento both say condolences to Judah for Liza passing. Lisa and Juan both said that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
She was an amazing dog.
Yeah, she was a sweetheart.
And probably the best dog I've ever been around. Deep Throat, you were 100% right who the top earner is. I had no doubt. Actually, this is a trick question. This is technically a trick question. On paper, the top earner at the University of Virginia. Did anybody get this? Should I give him a little bit more time? Anybody to jump in?
Yeah, you can give him a little more time. You can tell him who it isn't.
It's not Jim Ryan.
Yeah, that was what surprised me.
James Watson James Watson's got number 2. Ray Cadell, you got it right. Logan Wells Claylow, you technically got it right. God, I love you guys. The viewers and listeners are so smart.
No doubt.
You can't get one over on the viewers and listeners. With what we do in this format, live streaming to all social media, there's always somebody there to hold you accountable if you get something wrong.
Yeah, no doubt.
Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Kent on paper is the Chief Executive Officer of UVA Health and the Executive Vice President for Health Affairs at the University of Virginia. He remains the highest paid individual at the University of Virginia with a salary of $1,600,000. Kent's 2024 salary marks a $500,000 pay raise compared to last year.
Wow.
I need to tell you this again. This is according to the Cavalier Daily data, Cavalier Daily, who uses the Freedom of Information Act request. This is all public record. They have to release this information. Tremendous reporting from a student newspaper. This is tremendous reporting for the Richmond Times-Dispatch.
Yeah.
That's how good this article is. Craig Kent got a $500,000 year-over-year raise.
After a $50,000 the year before.
And that's how it's going to be positioned. That's how it's going to be positioned. his raise going into 2023 from 2022 to 2023 was only, it was only $50,000. Just a little only stack of 50 G's. And it was only 50 G's. We have to get him up to standard by giving him a $500,000 raise.
You got to keep up with cost of living increases, right?
1.6 million. That's the top compensated employee on paper. He earns more than Jim Ryan, who received the second highest salary at UVA. Jim Ryan, $912,000 in 2024, a 2% increase from his 2023 salary of $894,265. I will say this: I think the additional perks that Jim Ryan may have, I'm curious to see the bonus package additionals. Curious to see how they compare to Kent's. What would you call these? I'm lacking a phrase. Jim Ryan's got a house on Cars Hill. He's got a mansion on grounds.
Yeah.
It's part of his job. I'm curious what Kent gets additional on top of this salary. Jim Ryan living rent-free. Now, I do know President Ryan has a house in Earlysville. A lot of people don't realize that. Also has a house in Earlysville. Now, James Watson's a smart man. His photo on screen. He says, is Tony Bennett the top earner? Not on paper. Not on paper. On paper, it's Craig Kent, Jim Ryan second. However, if you included what Tony Bennett and Tony Elliott received outside of UVA compensation, they are clear-cut 1 and 2. Tony Bennett will receive more than $4 million in 2024. Wow. Basically, almost 4x what Kent received. Tony Elliott is going to receive, he's got a base salary of $510,000, but his salary through additional revenue streams, compensation streams, he's going to get just over $4 million. So your two top earners are Tony Bennett, number 1, with total package compensation, Tony Elliott, number 2, Craig Kent, number 3, Jim Ryan, number 4. This is fantastic reporting. Here's another interesting tidbit from the newspaper article. Teresa Sullivan. Remember Terry Sullivan?
Yeah.
Former president of UVA?
My mom worked for her.
Remember Terry Sullivan, who got in a brouhaha with Helen Dragas, the former rector of the Board of Visitors? Helen Dragas, do not cross Virginia Beach developer Helen Dragas of the Dragas Companies. Do not cross her. Because if you cross Helen Dragas, she's going to do a coup behind your back, where she's going to get other Board of Visitor members to try to get Terry Sullivan pink slipped. And if it was not for the professors at UVA organizing, galvanizing, and strategizing, saying, if you fire Terry Sullivan, we're going to, and show us how you're going to run the University of Virginia without teachers. If it was not for that move by the professors, Terry Sullivan would have had a knife slashed through her back by Dragas with a pink slip culvered into her spine.
Et tu, Dragas?
Damn, Judah, why aren't you like this every day?
I don't know.
Dude, Dragas, that was genius.
Thank you.
That was effing genius. Judah laughs the most at his own jokes. That's one of my favorite Judah idiosyncrasies right there. The times I see you laugh the most are at your own jokes. Have you noticed that?
Thank you.
Have you noticed that?
I have not.
Terry Sullivan is a sociology professor at UVA. She earns, listen to this, she actually got a pay cut. Terry Sullivan, the former president, earns the highest salary of an employee working solely as a professor. She receives $488,200 per year, which was a 21% decrease from 2023.
Wow.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median salary for a sociology professor is $82,670. So even though she got a 21% decrease from last year, she is still making 6x the average salary of a normal sociology professor.
Yeah.
Terry Sullivan, it's not like she's eating ramen and drinking tap water here.
No.
Oh, I'm just going to be a sociology professor, teach a couple of classes. Make 500G.
Show this to
I can go to Fleury on 500G.
kids getting out of high school, and they may go into education.
But where they want to go in education should be the University of Virginia, because according to this Cavalier Daily article, compared to UNC Chapel Hill, UVA ranks 4th and 5th. UNC and UVA rank 4th and 5th respectively in the 2024 U.S. News & World's report list of top public colleges and universities. Both schools landed on the Forbes 2024 list of the new Ivies. According to this report, UNC's interim president is making substantially less than Jim Ryan.
Yeah.
Kevin, I can't even,
2/3.
2/3 less, the president of UNC, than Jim Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
This gets back to the Jefferson Council, the Burt Ellis-led lobbying group that's trying to bring back Thomas Jefferson's legacy at UVA,
Yeah.
trying to diminish diversity, equity, and inclusion at UVA, and trying to return the single sanction honor code to UVA. The Jefferson Council is saying the reason that UVA has become so expensive and it's become a bastion for the rich, only the rich, is because of bloated salaries. This article is a perfect example of salary bloat.
Yeah.
It's a fine line, though. The fine line is this: attracting the top talent,
Yeah.
paying the top talent to keep them around, and then gentrifying the student body, where it's $100,000 if you're an out-of-state student a year to come to UVA.
Yeah.
Basically making it a playground for the rich. I need the community to understand, we all already understand this, but when you pay 12,024 direct employees $1.125 billion per year, that represents, as Deep Throat says, 10% of all the jobs in the metro area directly. And that does not include the contractors or the indirect jobs at UVA,
Right.
which I would bet is 2x the 12,000. Indirect and subcontracts, I would bet it's 2x.
Wow.
And it doesn't even include the value of 27,000 students on grounds during the school year. Not only $1.125 billion in salary, not only the wages paid to subcontractors and indirect employees, but also 26,000 students running around with mommy and daddy's credit card, driving their Porsche Cayennes from old dorms to the downtown mall so they can put their pinkies up while drinking an appletini and eating mozzarella fritters at the Zocalo at 10 o'clock at night. Pinkies up, Judah. Pinkies up. That's the Colin Cowherd says it's the UVA way. Pinkies up.
The UVA way.
That's what Colin Cowherd. That was him throwing shade at UVA fans. I personally took offense to that because I drink beer. There's nothing that I would rather like. You give me a bratwurst, an Italian spicy bratwurst,
Oh, man.
with some mustard, some onions and peppers, some IPAs, and some fried chicken. I'd be purring like a kitty cat with a sleeve of Ritz crackers and a tin of Cheese Whiz.
I can't tell you how much I miss the German restaurant down at on Fontaine.
Fontaine, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great place.
Schnitzel House?
That was a great place for a sausage and a big stein of beer.
Wasn't it the Schnitzel House?
I don't think so.
I think it was the Schnitzel House.
Was it?
It was the Schnitzel House, right? Viewers and listeners, wasn't that German restaurant on Fontaine, the corner of Fontaine and Jefferson Park Avenue, the Schnitzel House? And at one time was a sports bar there as well. Is it a Thai restaurant over there?
Yeah. I think
That's
there's one
caught
now.
fire that hasn't opened in forever?
Ludwig's Schnitzel House?
There it
Does that
is.
sound right?
Schnitzel House. Memory on this guy. Fringe benefits. Juan Sarmiento, thank you. Let's get his photo on screen. Juan Sarmiento is exactly right. Love you, Juan. Even though sometimes you don't agree with some of the commentary over here. I had this was relayed to my better half today. I've been listening a lot to Jerry. I agree with a lot of what Jerry says. I disagree with a lot of what Jerry says. She says, that's why we listen. She says, that's right. That's why we listen. Oh, man. Next headline, what do you got? Put that
Let's-
lower third on screen, too.
Next one is, we kind of talked about this. Wilseyville and Albemarle County Public Schools ban phones.
Just help me understand this. Are you saying that the cell phones are not banned because they want to track little Johnny and little Sally as they roam the hallways to the bathroom and back to the classroom? Is that what your theory is?
It could
That's your theory, right?
I mean, I can't figure out what other. How else are you going to provide these apps or
I thought you were just going to slap an Apple AirTag on the
I
back
was
of
just
their
gonna say,
the back of their collar shirt.
Are you going to give everyone an Apple AirTag and like
I think parents would have an issue.
clip it on like they do at clothing stores, so you can't get it off,
So you can't steal the corduroys, the Nikes.
right?
Okay, no, make your case here. And then I'm gonna try to pick it apart like Thanksgiving turkey.
Well, they've got virtual hall pass program called Securely.
Charlottesville High School does.
Yeah, this will allow for students to request a pass from their device. What could the device be but a cell phone? Unless they're buying a bunch of devices for every student in the school.
I don't think that's going to be it.
And then the teacher will approve it from their device. It allows them to set limits on the amount of time students might be out. Would you get a punishment of some sort if you? I don't know that they can force you to come back to class, but at least maybe it'll let them know where you are. Limit the number of students leaving one space and to monitor students in spaces they shouldn't be. And apparently there was another article that I was reading about the fact that they can coordinate, they can see where students are going to be going. They can see where students. I mean, it sounds like if you know the Harry Potter movies, it sounds like the Marauders map, where you get like a dot where everyone is, so they can see if there are a bunch of kids congregating in one cross hallway. They can, I guess, quickly send somebody there to break up any potential fight that might be forming.
Yeah, it's basically the same. Friends of Seville, Greer. I was texting with her earlier today. Greer Achenbach did a fantastic presentation to City Council where she highlighted from 2017 to 2023, traffic on the mall has dropped 1 million visitors.
Yeah.
How they got that number is through tracking IPs on cell phones. IPs on phones, easy to track. Same situation Judah's saying.
Easy for who to track, though?
Anyone can track that. That stuff is so easy to track right now, dude.
Okay.
It is so easy to track. My point is this. This digital hall pass system is basically going to watch phones as they're on the move in schools. And certain phones are going to be linked with troublemakers. And those troublemakers will be watched closely as they're on the move at Charlottesville High School. And if troublemakers are aggregating with other troublemakers, administrators will be able to deploy to that location to break up any trouble that Tommy Trouble and Timmy Trouble and Terry Trouble are trying to concoct, right? That's the whole plan. I got questions for you. You ready for this? If you want to cause trouble at the school, what if you just turn your cell phone off?
Yeah.
I got a question for you. If you want to cause trouble at the school, why don't you turn your cell phone off or leave it at home? If you want to cause trouble at the school, why don't you turn your cell phone off, leave it at home? Or what if you don't even have a cell phone?
Imagine counterculture in a few years where kids are eschewing the use of cell phones.
Because of tracking. Now, I need you to help me understand this. They're deploying digital infrastructure that they're paying for with the use of taxpayer resources for the sole purpose of a plan that's going to last the fall semester? Because on the 1st of January, The governor of Virginia has said public schools have to be a cell phone free zone. There's a ban on the phones. Is that the plan? Put a Band-Aid on a problem? Use the phones to track trouble, but only do it for September, October, and November, and half of December?
I mean,
half of August?
It's curious.
Help me understand. I'm curious. Make it make sense, please.
Through the digital system, instructors will be able to not only set an expected duration and location for student passes, but monitor the number of students school-wide sent to an area at one time. Limiting the number of students outside of class in a given location allows instructors and administrators to prevent large groups from meeting or coordinating fights in the hallways. I mean, it's interesting. I'm not sure how I'd feel about it as a kid. Like, do I really want to be tracked around the school, like, every step of the way? It's amazing the things that we will allow as we become more comfortable with what some might call breakdowns in our... What am I trying to say?
Our rights, our liberty,
Yeah.
our given right to be ourselves without the ban intrusively tracking what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's sad that we have to do this with kids these days, but yeah.
You know, the reality is social media apps are already doing this.
Social media apps are doing
apps
what?
know what websites you're visiting. Have you guys noticed this on Instagram? When you go to the search function on Instagram and you discover on Instagram, and you click some photos on Discover, the next time you go back to Instagram, the photos you clicked the previous time are going to be similar photos you see on Discover the next time. The Discover, people have said this. My brother works in social media. He was previously the head of global creative for Snapchat. He's worked in social media for digital, a number of Fortune 50 and 100 companies. Okay? He said this: the Discover portion of Instagram, you show me anyone's Discover portion on Instagram, and I will be able to size that person up in 10 seconds. Likes, hobbies, interests, passion, the type of content they like, the type of content they peruse off the app. That is tracking your movements on your phone.
Yeah.
When you download these apps, if you do not select "Don't track me" when not using the app, they're tracking you. Did you know that?
Yeah.
It's in the terms of service. You click the terms of service that no one reads, that you just click OK to download the app. In those terms of service, it says, we're going to track you. Unless you go to the settings page and click, we don't want to be tracked while not using the app.
Yeah.
That's why the Discover portion of Instagram is the tell-all of someone's deepest, darkest secrets.
No doubt. I mean, and I'm sure everybody listening and watching has experienced this type of thing where you, for instance, will Google something on your laptop or your home computer. And
How am I getting ads for this?
And then the next time you're on your phone, whether it's Facebook or whatever, you're all of a sudden seeing ads for that exact same thing that you just Googled.
Exactly. We run campaigns like that for clients. An office on Market Street in Charlottesville. Imagine what a Fortune 10 company can do.
Yeah.
With billions of dollars in the war chest. Next headline, Judah B. Wickhauer. Bill McChesney makes the point, if you haven't had his photo on screen, he's making the program better. Can the data that they're using to track students in hallways to keep trouble from happening, can that data be hacked, is the point he makes. I would say yes, any data can get hacked.
That's a good question.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And I would say any data can get hacked.
Yeah.
Do parents realize this?
We see information getting hacked almost daily in the news.
Information getting hacked, like from banks that are supposed to be the safest protectors of data out there.
Yeah.
Next headline, Judah B. Wickower. Fire away, please.
Next headline has to do with our wonderful airport. Which
All right, you set the who, what, when, where, why on this one. You're up to speed on this story.
Our CHO, Charlottesville Albemarle Airport, is getting $2.9 million for updates. This is federal funding for making critical improvements. And it looks great. They're going to get some updated security. They're going to get a repaved runway. They're going to get a new control tower to replace the current one. So Charlottesville Albemarle Airport is looking good. And we do have a great airport. I mean,
It's fantastic.
the updates they've made over the last few years.
My favorite airport out there.
Yeah, have really brought it to a new level.
Love that airport. Mm-hmm. Absolutely love
Small, personable,
that. Easy to navigate,
and fast.
efficient. Can show up 15 minutes before a flight and still board the plane. Judah, this is where you jump in and say, I'm not advising you to do that.
Yeah, I would not take that advice.
Or you can show up, pull into the entrance of the airport as the plane is actually boarding and still get on the plane like yours truly did.
If you're lucky.
Is it luck or is it skill? Is it luck with some charm and persuasiveness?
Okay, you're ignoring the fact that if I had not hidden your
That was skill.
ticket,
I said, you got to get the boarding pass, hide it under the chair next to the entrance, 3 doors down, next to the man that has a left foot that drags with the loafer on the hole in the front toe, weasel the boarding pass behind his bag and under the chair, and I'll scoop it up. You did. I got the boarding pass. I sprinted to boarding, made it through boarding, had rainbow sandals on so I didn't have to take my shoes on.
And if you'd had to get your own boarding pass.
But I didn't. Mm-hmm. But I didn't. Next headline, Judah B. Wickower.
What do we got? Virginia Commonwealth. We were just barely edged out of fifth place, I believe, for number of medals for a state.
For state?
Yeah.
This is a good headline. Give us this headline.
It's up there. VA Commonwealth finishes Olympics with 14.
The Commonwealth of Virginia
medals.
had how many medals?
14.
14 medals in the Olympics from the Commonwealth of Virginia. Which state had the most medal winners?
8 of those 14 were gold.
How many of those were tied to UVA? All of them?
I think a fair number. I think
Probably
maybe
all of them.
I think maybe 11 of the 17 medals were from UVA, but don't quote me on that.
What was the top state?
California.
How many medals?
47 medals.
Damn! Is
But-
California still part of the United States of America, or is it its own country?
Has it broken off due to the
The tectonic plates?
the San Andreas Fault?
No, my brother lives in Los Angeles. He's coming to visit this weekend.
I've
I'll
en-
catch shade for that. I'll
I've
catch
en-
some heat for that.
I've enjoyed several earthquakes in my time.
Is California still part of the United States of America?
I don't know. I think they are.
California was number one.
They also have a gigantic population. They
Who
had
was number 2?
15 gold, 11 silver, and 21 bronze. The top 5 states rounded out by Florida with 22,
They were number 2?
Texas with 20,
Okay.
New York and Illinois both with 17.
And then the Commonwealth of Virginia in the 5 slot?
If you count New York and Illinois as tied for
Well, of course
fourth,
you do.
then Virginia
In the 5 hole.
technically missed the 5th slot, but
I'll give them in the 5th slot. Congratulations to the good old Commonwealth of UVA.
yeah, no doubt.
Next headline, Judah B. Wickower. Put that lower third on. What do we got? You can tell I don't have the headlines in front of me today.
Trump and Harris want
All right, I want to
no
spend some time on this one.
taxes on tips.
This is one I want to spend some time on. How would you characterize this presidential race?
Disingenuous.
Okay. I think that's fair. You say disingenuous. Let's go back and forth how we would characterize the presidential race with one word only. You say disingenuous. You say tomato. I say tomato. You say disingenuous. I say dispiriting.
Dispiriting.
Yeah.
I'd say the last 2 elections have been dispiriting, but yes, this one continues the.
Next word. How do you characterize this election?
I don't want to swear.
What are we going to use? SHIT?
Show.
Okay.
What's another word for that? Not my circus, not my monkeys.
What?
You've never heard that phrase?
No.
My sister loves that, or she used to.
Dispiriting, cat fight, a underhanded, disenchanting, and all the words. Now Trump and Harris realize that they need every vote possible.
Yeah.
And because they realize they need every vote possible, they're pulling out every card from up or down their sleeve. Trump, about a month ago, said we're not going to tax tips if you're in the service industry. Harris, a few days ago, said we're not going to tax tips.
Guess what? I have a great idea.
In the service industry. Basically, Trump's idea. Made it her own idea. That's politics.
Yeah.
Here's my beef with that. My beef is this. Who tips in cash anymore?
Yeah.
The service industry, restaurant tabs are paid with credit cards. Who has cash? I don't know. Do you have cash on you?
Yeah, it's been a while.
I never have cash.
Yeah.
So if you pay with a credit card, the tips aren't even going out every night to the service industry, to the workers.
Potentially.
A lot of restaurants aren't paying tips on a nightly basis.
Oh, I'm sure that's true.
It's part of paychecks.
No, I'm sure that's true.
Because it diminishes accounting. The effort's tied to accounting. If you had to tip out all your servers, I remember when I was working my way through UVA, I worked at Ruby Tuesdays in Barracks Road, where it was chopped salad. Every night, at the end of the night, the manager or the general manager had to do tips. So we would, and Ruby Tuesday's point of sale was extremely digital and automated. We would go to the kiosks. I think it was Aloha was the point of sale that we were using. And we'd get this receipt slip that showed our sales for the night. Mm-hmm. How much volume of sales was tied to us as a waiter or bartender. And it showed on there our tips, really just the credit card tips, because the cash tips couldn't show on there.
Yeah.
Then we would go to the little room in the back of Ruby Tuesdays, in the back of the house, the office that was about the size of a closet. It fit a desk, and Bruce Willis, the general manager's name was Bruce Willis, 6'4", huge bald guy. Great general manager. If this gets back to him, he's a very fair general manager. Billy Little was a general manager there, or was a manager there. Shane Reed was a manager there. Brian Colbert was a manager there. Jason Mullins, a manager there. Fantastic leadership team. And they would spend a significant portion of the evening after closing going over sales and tipping out the front of the house staff.
Yeah.
It took a long-ass time. All of us as servers, well, I don't know if all of us did. What I did was I just reported the credit card slips and 10% on top of that, put the rest of the cash in my pocket as unreported. That's what most people did. Some people didn't even report the cash tips. I said, do you realize that the IRS knows that it's not just credit card tips that you're getting some cash tips. At least put a little meat on the bone there. I mean, come on, be intelligent. But I'm like, you do you, okay? You do you. I'll do it this way. So I put 10% on top of the credit card tips, the cash piece, and then I keep the rest. Mm-hmm. My point is, that's not how it happens today. They've taken the administrative accounting end of the night tip out at many restaurants out of the equation and just weave the tips into paychecks once a Friday or every other Friday. Mm-hmm. So the paychecks are much larger now. Before I used to get paychecks every other Friday that were like $32. Because you make $2.13 an hour and you had taxes pulled out of there from your credit card tips. Minimal paychecks. So my point is this. What would keep a restaurant owner, and I'm not saying anyone locally would do this, Judah, but someone's going to do this somewhere. Let's just say it'll never happen in Central Virginia. Our home is nothing but pure angels in the restaurant ownership world. But what would keep a restaurant team or owner of funneling, laundering money through a taxless society? They could just funnel all kinds of stuff through. Oh, it was tip money.
Yeah.
Can't tip that. That's tip money.
Not a bad point. What could you manage to slide onto the tip portion of?
Aren't we
of things?
creating a?
I mean, every law creates people who find loopholes, right?
I mean, isn't that an extremely obvious loophole, though? They're not going to tax this money. I'll just call it tip money.
Yeah.
And who's to say it even makes it all the way back to the servers?
Yeah.
That's
the better question.
There was scuttlebutt and rumor mill of a failed restaurant group locally who was not tipping the servers all the tip money they earned. I'm not going to say which one. You can use context clues to figure it out on your own. But a failed restaurant group with multiple positions on the downtown mall and other positions elsewhere was rumored and scuttlebutted to be keeping server tip money. Mm-hmm. John Blair has this. On the tip issue, as with all things, lawyers would eat that up. What's not to say that a hedge fund manager would go to a tips-only model? Lawyers, doctors. If it's all exempted from income, I can drive a convoy through that. That's another point I was going to make. If you're not going to tax tips, should our rents that we collect on our real estate holdings not be called rents in the lease, but be called tips? Or our advertising agency and our brand management company. I'm not going to charge an hourly rate.
We just ask for a
just
month.
tip. I need $995 in tip money, please.
Every month.
Every month. This is tip money. Not going to tax me on it. When we're doing business brokerage and selling businesses, instead of the 10% commission on the deal, I don't want to be paid 10% commission. Just pay me 10% tips, please. 10% tips. Shady as all get out. And this is the reason the shady as all get out is becoming a reality. You take Nevada, a battleground state. 25% of the workforce in Nevada is tied to the hospitality sector, according to the state's June employment data. The things you do to win an election. Close with the last headline, and we'll get out of here. Today's show was good. Famous Amos, founder?
Yep.
Sad news.
Very sad news. This guy led a pretty incredible life.
Put it in perspective.
He was born in Florida, moved to Hawaii. He worked after leaving the Air Force, after dropping out of high school. He became a talent agent working with the Supremes, Simon and Garfunkel, and Marvin Gaye before borrowing $25,000 to launch Famous Amos Cookies. I think he probably inspired a generation of black people with the work that he did, and not only that, he, despite dropping out of high school, penned 8 books, was a spokesperson for Literacy Volunteers of America for 24 years, gave motivational talks to corporations, universities, and other groups, and President George H.W. Bush in 1991 gave him the Literacy Award, among numerous other honors for his volunteerism. He eventually lost control of Famous Amos and lost the ability to use the name, but went on to do other things, and I think eventually started a muffin business that is still making money in muffins.
across the Rainbow Bridge, dunking chocolate chip Famous Amos cookies into skim milk with one hand while petting Eliza Bean with the other and rubbing her hair. That's a sight that is about as pure as I can imagine.
No doubt.
Judah Wickower on point today. Jerry Miller, the I Love Seville show on a Thursday. So long.